May peace be upon you. Good morning. I am Professor Irfan Shukr, and now today we are going to talk about a topic which is very, very important in research. Rather, it forms the framework on which all research is done and research papers are written subsequently. So, I am going to talk about IMRaD. So the learning objective is, by the end of this session, this video session with me, you would be able to describe the IMRaD structure or the IMRaD framework. Remember, the word IMRaD is an acronym. It is not an English word, it is an acronym, and it's pronounced like IMRaD, used to describe the standardized structure of a scientific research papers. It stands for I for introduction, M for methods, R for results, and D for discussion. So let's do an activity to understand this structure of IMRaD. Let's understand step 1, IMRaD, I for introduction. So, first of all, one has to identify the problem. For example, I think that there is a problem that too much screen time may reduce the amount of sleep the students get, and this is an important issue nowadays which we face. Now, the second thing is to turn the problem into a question. So, therefore, in this case, do students who spend more time on screen get less sleep? Or if I write into a question statement, it would be, what is the relationship between screen time and the sleep duration among students? Now, once we have got a question statement, so what is my hypothesis, if you think of it? So state the hypothesis. For example, in this case, if screen time increases, then the sleep time will decrease. And we state the objective to determine the relationship between screen time and sleep duration among students. So in introduction, in a research paper writing, or when we are thinking of research, there is a problem, and a problem is something we don't understand yet and something that might not be making something right, like in this case, the problem of screen time and students sleeping. A question statement is a big question we ask to help us learn more about a problem. It is often starts with the question words. So question statement always start with the words which usually start with W, like what, why, when, where, who, and how. Then is the hypothesis. A hypothesis is a smart guess or idea about what we think the question might be. And hypothesis is simply written is an if or then statement, if to think of. Then coming on the objective, an objective is a clear measurable goal of the screen, which in this case was to determine the relationship between screen time and sleep duration among students. Now, getting this background of introduction, the second thing in IMRaD is methods. So, what I thought of, to enroll 10 students are enrolled in my study. They are my participants, the people in the study, and I am using a survey, which is 2 questions, which is a questionnaire, to collect data, which is the answers from the students. Now, that is my method which I am using. So therefore, the participants are 10 students, tools, the question I asked, which is a questionnaire, and the procedure would be, I'll ask the question, I will record the data, and then analyze it. The questionnaire consisted of 2 questions. For how long do students use screen such as phone, tablets or TV each day? And question number 2 is, how many hours of sleep do students get each night? Now, when this question is distributed, Then I produce this form to make a consolidation of data, and that is what it was. For example, student number 1, the duration of screen time was 4 years and the duration of sleep was 6 years. Now to analyze it, to get the results, I use the data to create a scatter plot. So this is the scatter plot form, in which one axis is showing duration of sleep and second axis is showing the duration of times. Now visual insight in this thing is, if you think of this plot, duration of screen use, duration of sleep, the scatter plot shows a negative trend. Obviously, as screen time increases, sleep duration tends to decrease. This supports the hypothesis that I made, that the higher screen time may be associated with less sleep. Now this is going to result and help us in formulation of determining the correlation result. Correlation result means whether one thing goes up or down when another thing changes. Here, as screen time goes up, sleep time goes down. The Pearson correlation coefficient between screen time and sleep duration is 0.95 rounded. Pearson correlation coefficient means a number that shows how strongly two things are related. In this case, screen time and sleep. So the interpretation is, this is a very strong negative correlation. It means that as screen time increases, the sleep duration decreases. The value is close to -1, indicating a nearly perfect inverse relationship. This is supporting the hypothesis as I mentioned before. Remember, results are facts only. It's not explanation. These are the results, are the facts which are generated by the methods which you have made. And data is the number we collect from the answers. This is the meaning of these two words. After that is D from discussion. In discussion we reflect, how do you think this data shows? Do students use screen more or less, as in this case? Is there anything that could affect our result? That should come in discussion. Then how do your result compare with global pricing, and what might explain any difference? So this is the core of the discussion. Remember, interpretation is thinking about what the results mean in light of available result. Limitation means what might be wrong or incomplete. Conclusion means what we believe from our findings. A recommendation believes advice like turning off screen earlier. This is the IMRaD structure, but important thing is its application. And for application, then let's understand the main heading is in research paper with IMRaD titles. Now if you see any research paper and just scan the research paper, even without reading anything, it has a title page, then it's an abstract, which in fact is summary of the entire paper, and this is written after the whole paper has been written. Then there are keywords, so therefore if somebody wants to research a paper, he enters a keyword in PubMed, etc., and you get the relevant literature. Then there's an introduction. An introduction has a background, it has a problem statement, as I mentioned. Then there's a research question, objective hypothesis, significance of study, scope and limitation, and definition, the operational definition if needed. And there's a literature review, which may be part of introduction or may be written separately. This is the IMRaD. I standing for introduction, the first letter of IMRaD. Then there is a heading on methodology or methods, in which there is a research design, population and sample, sampling technique, data collection estimation, tool and instruments, data analysis procedure, and ethical consideration. Each one of them I am going to explain in my future videos. Okay, what are research design, what is the meaning of population, sample, sampling technique, data collection method, tools and instruments, data analysis procedure, ethical procedure. This all correlates with M of IMRaD, which means methodology. Then you will obviously see result, which is presentation of data. It could be in form of tables, graph results, and obviously in text a summary of key finding is written. This is the result R from IMRaD. Then is the eighth, which is discussion, in which there is interpretation of finding, comparison with existing literature, implication of the findings, and conclusion. Sometimes it is written separately, sometimes it is merged with discussion in shorter papers. But usually it is as a separate heading. And conclusion, you write a summary of the findings, conclusion drawn, recommendation and suggestion for future research. So this all becomes a part of the discussion IMRaD. Obviously then references, bibliography, appendices, they are also added. So therefore, if you remember the word IMRaD, introduction, methodology, result and discussion, and that structure or framework in your mind, so once you are thinking and planning how to conduct the research, that framework helps to bring clarity in your thought. And once there is clarity in the thought, then you think of you're very clear about the objectives, you're very clear about the methodology and this. And when you write a research paper, then if a research paper is written with this framework, then it is a very, very good research paper. That is why this IMRaD structure is followed throughout the world in planning research and writing research papers. Well, I hope it has helped you to understand very, very basic of research. Obviously, there are many nomenclatures in it, many things in it, which I am going to explain in different videos. Thank you very much for listening to me. Have a good day, enjoy the weather, have a good cup of tea, and see you again. Bye-bye, bye-bye.